In a recently leaked memo between President Donald Trump and former head of the CIA, James Comey, Donald Trump said that journalists should be thrown into jail or persecuted or have major consequences for leaking information coming from inside his administration. I, however, do not think that jail or prison is the right type of persecution for this. I believe that incarceration rates, especially in Oklahoma, are at an all-time high, and if we're just throwing journalists in jail for leaking information maybe they didn't want leaked, then I think that is just going to cost the government a lot of money. I think it's going to cost the states where these journalists are being thrown in jail a lot of unnecessary money. I think that money can go to better things like education and just different aspects that will benefit other people rather than just throwing them in jail and getting them off the streets. I don't think that is the right way to handle something. Yes, I do believe that there should be consequences and there should be repercussions. I think journalists could have their credentials revoked, or they could be reassigned somewhere else if it becomes too sensitive or if they start crossing boundaries that should not be crossed. Journalists. I think journalists have a job to tell the truth. That is what we learn in J school. That is our biggest thing, is we have to tell the truth, and sometimes people are not going to be happy about it, and that's just the way it is. And I think that if there is information that's very sensitive and that's coming from inside the Trump administration, that should not be leaked, and a journalist does have access to that and just leaks it all over the place. That is a boundary maybe that shouldn't be crossed, but I don't think throwing them in jail is the right thing to do. I don't think taking them to court is the right thing to do. That is something that does happen a lot with journalists, though. They are taken to court, and as long as they have people and sources and information to back them up, then I think they'll be okay if this does happen. So like I said earlier, journalists have obligations to tell the truth, and they have a job to inform the public about what's going on, especially inside the presidency and inside the White House. I think especially in our democracy and then in our judicial system, I think that's something that should be out there for people to know what's going on inside the White House, what's going on inside the Trump administration, because it affects all of us in the long run. And Kant says that our end goal is to achieve happiness, and that comes from having a strong moral behavior, and that is also what he calls complete virtue. And I think having a virtue is telling the truth. It is telling the people what they need to know, and that just screams journalism to me. I think there are better ways to deal with a journalist who leaks information that maybe President Trump did not want leaked. And I don't think if someone does something that President Trump doesn't agree with necessarily, I don't think that calls for jail time or just completely ruining their lives by taking away their freedom like that.